and try to paint everybody with it so that they can alienate the largest group of uninformed Americans that they can. If there's the Jewish population or the Democrat population or the non-white population, if they can convince them that people like us are nasty, knuckle-dragging mountain dwellers, then they're not going to listen to us. They're not even going to give us 5 minutes of their time. And that's the thing that the powers that be are most concerned about, is if you give them 5 minutes of your time and they actually listen, you're going to sell them, because it's the truth. What you're doing, Jason, every day is telling the truth. And that's the thing that the government, the powers that be, are worried about, is they don't want people to even listen. So if they can make people hate you and think that there's something wrong with you, they won't listen to you. And that's their number one goal.
Well, absolutely. And even beyond that, with these DHS documents, they're really broadening the term of terrorism and blurring the line between that and extremism. And I don't know if you've seen this latest DHS document that we've been talking about this week, but right in the crosshairs, let me just read you some of them. Patriot movement, people who believe in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, the alternative media, people who, put out the truth, basically. The definition is just mind-boggling, a term used to describe various information sources that provide a forum for interpretations of events and issues that differ radically from those presented in mass media products and outlets. So in other words, if we don't go along with what the corporate media and corporate government tell us, we're an extremist. We're terrorists, Joe.
That's right. And I think, you and Alex have both pointed out, when you look back at history, you see that they continue to use the same game plan. To demonize people like us. And actually, the IRS has been quite expert at using that same tactic with the so-called, the tax protest community. The IRS had a term called illegal tax protester. Sounds like the music's coming. Maybe I should
Yep. Well, tax resistance movement is in this latest document. Groups or individuals who vehemently believe taxes violate their constitutional rights, which it does. Among the beliefs are that the wages are not income, that paying income taxes is voluntary, and that the 16th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, which allowed Congress to levy taxes on income, was not properly ratified. We'll be back after this with Joe Banister. It's the Info Warrior, PrisonPlanet.com.
Are you concerned for the safety of your loved ones? Listen closely to this message from pepperspray.com. Every 22 seconds a violent crime is committed. America has changed, and your personal safety is your first priority. Be smart. Be safe. Trust pepper spray instead of your luck. Pepperspray.com is the only website you'll ever need for all of your non-lethal self-defense supplies. Pepperspray.com carries one of the largest assortments of pepper spray and personal safety products on the web. From big to small, we have it all. Pepper spray, mace, animal repellents, stun guns, and tasers. Pepperspray.com also carries a large assortment of products for personal, home, child, and pet safety. Enter SAFE in the coupon box and you'll receive a special discount off of your order. So what are you waiting for? Go to pepperspray.com. That's pepperspray.com or call 1-800-908-9988 today.
And it's 5, 6, 7, open up the pearly gates. Well, there ain't no time to wonder why we're all gonna die.
All right, folks, we are back. It's the InfoWar with Jason Bermas. Our guest is Joe Banister, and we're going over this latest DHS document. Of course, the tax resistance movement is demonized in this as well. But before we do that, Joe, how can people support you?
Well, my website, ever since I left the IRS, has been freedomabovefortune.com. They also have josephbanister.com, and I'm from the nonconformist Banisters, so we only have one N in our last name. So that's one way people can get a hold of me. I work with Tom Cryer with Truth Attack also, truthattack.org. But Freedom Above Fortune and josephbanister.com be the best way for people to get in touch with me. I have an email list, so people like to get on the email list to get the latest news on what's happening in my various battles and, get news on what's happening in the tax movement. Feel free to join the email list.
All right, so let's go over this again. Now you tell me whether this is a true or false statement. Let's see. Again, this is tax resistance movement. Groups or individuals who vehemently believe taxes violate their constitutional rights. Among the beliefs are that wages are not income and paying income taxes is voluntary. Is that true or false?
Well, the thing is that even as it says in America Freedom to Fascism, the Internal Revenue Regulations actually use the word voluntary. Mm-hmm. And then the Internal Revenue Manual, which is kind of the Bible that the IRS uses internally, uses the word voluntary over and over and over and over again. And the fact of the matter is, if indeed the law doesn't require most Americans, it doesn't mandate most Americans to pay the income tax, then indirectly it would make it voluntary, right? I mean, if you're doing something you're not required to do, you're volunteering. In fact, there's a video that's out on YouTube where Senator Harry Reid refers to the tax as voluntary over and over and over again. So, I mean, you can take Senator Reid's word for it. Google Senator Reid, and that's R-E-I-D, voluntary income tax, and look at how he squirms when somebody tries to pinpoint him on why he keeps calling the income tax voluntary. As far as constitutional rights, the income tax and all the federal taxes are absolutely constitutional as written. The problem is that they're not constitutionally being administered. In other words, if the IRS was following its own rule book, if it was following the Internal Revenue Code, then it wouldn't be breaking the law. But it is not following the Internal Revenue Code, and it is enforcing and administering the income tax far beyond what the laws, what the statutes and regulations allow. So it's an unconstitutional application of the income tax laws, not so much that the laws themselves are unconstitutional.
We're going to play that Harry Reid clip in the next segment, but I want to go to the second half of this tax resistance movement in this DHS document. Members have been known to advocate or engage in criminal activity and plot acts of violence and terrorism in an attempt to advance their extremist goals. Now, do you know of any case when anybody has been charged with terrorism in the anti-tax movement or plotted it?
I can't think of a single example. I will tell you, though, that the IRS, as I was mentioning before the last break, they had a term called illegal tax protester, and they used that term for decades, probably not long after World War II when the income tax became to be real prevalent. And in 1998, they were actually forbidden to use that term. They had to strike it from all of their literature, from their very mouths. They could not utter the term illegal tax protester. And so now they use words like tax denier and tax defier and try to dance around the term itself. They also have a term called PDT, which stands for potentially dangerous taxpayer. And believe it or not, I am, in my individual master file transcripts, I am designated as a PDT. And the thing is that the criteria for being designated as a PDT has to involve some kinds of violence, a threat of violence or actual violence. And I've never done such a thing in my life. I've never been violent in any manner, but the IRS does plenty of violence to people.
No, and that's why they're putting, these words into the definitions. They're violent. They're going to commit crimes. They're plotting terror. None of these things are true, folks. And we're going to go over that on the other side with Joe Banister, play that Harry Reid clip, and take your calls. It's the InfoWars with Jason Bermas, PrisonPlanet.tv, Infowars.com.